Hey gang, I screwed up and I did it right here in the back of the van and it cost me about $100. Stick around if you want to know what I did wrong. Welcome back everyone, good to see you all again. So my screw up was this. At the end of like a week on the road in the van with me and the wife, I decided it was time to wash the sheets. I grabbed all the sheets off the bed into a big ball and walked inside and put them right in the washer. When it was done, put them right in the dryer, and as I was walking away from the dryer, I heard noises that shouldn't come from a dryer with sheets. So I stopped the dryer immediately, opened it up. I figured I had washed my knife somehow, which I do pretty frequently, but I didn't find my knife. I found first a black diamond spot headlamp, which I've used for a number of years. I'm a big fan of these headlamps. And I was like, that's bad, but it shouldn't be too bad. This is waterproof to 1 meter underwater for 30 minutes. I do have a big washing machine. I don't think it's a meter of water, but it was more than 30 minutes. So I don't know. I immediately popped the batteries out of it. Let's let it dry. We'll figure it out. Started the dryer up, walked away. Before I got a few steps, I still heard noise coming out of the dryer. And so I went back. I thought maybe this time it's my knife, hopeful, but not real hopeful. Found this, which is the Skull Candy Sesh Evo earbud. And I was like, there is no way these things survived. But I'm going to give it a shot. So this is sealed. It recharges via USB-C. So I couldn't pull the batteries out of it. But I took both the headlamp that now had the batteries out of it, earbuds themselves, and the case, put them all in a Ziploc with rice, and left it for 24 hours. I should have left it for 48 hours, but I was really curious. And this is what I thought was going to happen. I thought the earbuds were just completely dead, but I thought the headlamp was going to survive. And it led me down a road of IPX ratings or IP ratings, and realized I bet most people don't understand IP ratings, so let's talk about them and hopefully had a better understanding of the gear that we use in the outdoors, be it headlamps or GPSs or watches or whatever, or cameras. So let's dive into IP ratings, and then I'll tell you how the story ends. So IP ratings we see on all sorts of items that are used in the outdoor industry. IP stands for ingress protection. The 2 digits following it represent how much ingress protection there is. First digit is solid foreign objects. Really what they're referring to is dust, is how much dust protection there is. The second digit is water protection, which is how you get a rating like this headlamp. So this headlamp is actually listed as IPX7. What is listed on Black Diamond's website, the real definition of IPX7, don't completely agree because there's a little bit of a gray area there. But what IPX7 for this headlamp that I submerged in my washing machine says that it was not tested for solid foreign object intrusion, right? So there is no first digit, which is why it's an X. The second digit, the 7, is, as I said, listed on the Black Diamond website as 30 minutes, 1 meter underwater for 30 minutes. You will never see things listed as waterproof anymore. It's just how water resistant are they. And this is water resistant to 1 meter underwater for 30 minutes. The actual IP rating for number 7 is protected against the effects of temporary immersion in water, and the amount of water is determined by the manufacturer, which is what the gray area is. The actual definition of IP7, well, IPX7, Ingress of water in quantities causing harmful effects and shall not be possible when the enclosure is temporarily immersed in water under standardized conditions of pressure and time. So in this case, the standardized conditions of pressure and time are 1 meter and 30 minutes. IPX8, the next one up, is a little bit more vague. Ingress of water in quantities causing harmful effects shall not be possible when the enclosure is continuously immersed in water under conditions which shall be agreed between manufacturer and user, but which are more severe than numeral 7. Got that? Yeah, I don't got that either. That's crazy talk. So this is IPX7, no dust rating, but waterproof underwater under conditions as determined by the manufacturer, which is 1 meter. Okay, there you go. This guy is a little bit more complicated because it is really earbuds and a case with a battery in it. And initially when I looked to see what the waterproof rating of this, notice the open USB port on the back, I assumed that this was not waterproof at all. And in fact, it was originally listed as sweatproof. And I don't know what the heck sweatproof means. But I did some digging and found that it actually has an IP rating of 55. So IP55. The first 5 is dust protected. Not dust tight, that would be IP6, but dust protected. And then the second 5 is protects against water jets. But keep in mind, water jets is not submersion. Submersion doesn't start till 7. IP blank 6 is actually protects against powerful water jets. Don't ask me what the difference between a water jet and a powerful water jet is. If you know, tell me down in the comments. Either way, this was listed as somewhat waterproof. Not immersion proof, but somewhat waterproof. And as I said, I figured this guy was dead. But I had hope for this guy. This should have survived. Things like that I use that I think about in terms of waterproofness, GoPros don't have an IP rating. They're just listed as 33 feet underwater, but they don't list a time, which I think is interesting. And things like my handheld GPS, which is pretty old, my Dakota 20 is an IPX7, which is also 1 meter underwater for 30 minutes, which seems to be a pretty standard across the industry, is that 1 meter for 30 minutes. Another big player in my realm is my Garmin Instinct watch, which doesn't have an IP rating, but is listed to 10 atmospheres, which is, according to them, the equivalent of 100 meters, which would be about 300 feet if you think in imperial, which I still do a lot of the time. And that is deeper than, I think, most recreational. That's definitely deeper than recreational scuba diving. So I'm not quite sure what they're why it's so waterproof. It might be part of this is built to like a military spec. I forget what it's called for ruggedness, for durability. So it might be part of that. But yeah, so I think that's pretty interesting. So there is some variation device to device. Check your devices. That's how the IP device ratings works. But you can find nice charts that list all the differences. And maybe I'll throw a link to one down in the below thing, in the notes, in the doodly-doo, so that you can check those out. Because it is kind of interesting, but also a little bit vague, which is weird. Okay, so what happened with these, right? This I was pretty sure was dead, and this guy I was hopeful was alive. So initially when I got this out of the rice, I noticed when I was putting it into the rice, the lights on the case were doing weird things. I was like, that thing is fried. There's no way. I left it in the rice for 24 hours and then pulled it out and charged it. And it seemed to actually be working. And then when I tried to use it, I realized that it was discharging the battery immediately. So I could use it for a little while, but then the battery would die. And so I was like, okay, I went online, I ordered a new one. And then I decided I'm just gonna leave it plugged in for a while and see what happens, because I can still use it for a little bit till the new one gets here. And after a day or two, it was fine. And in fact, I'm still using it. You can see it's charged and the earbuds light up. So I spent $55 on a new set of these, which I guess I will just keep as a backup. Maybe they'll die at some point. Fortunately, it was submerged in fresh water. But this thing is still working. Blows my mind. Should not be working, and is working. This one is a little bit more confusing. I pulled it out of the rice. I put some batteries in it. it was fine. It was absolutely working. And then I plunked it down on my desk and was doing some editing and was minding my own business, and it was sitting next to me, and I realized that it was on. I was like, that's weird, so I turned it off. And then I went back to working, and a few minutes later I realized that it was on. I was like, that's weird, and I turned it off. And then a day later I realized that it was turning itself on but acting like it was locked. It flashes the light 6 times if it's locked. And then I threw it in my bag to go on a trip and pulled it out and went to use it and turned it on, and it cycled through all of the settings and then turned itself off. So that is telling me that I think the switch is probably broken. And so I ordered a new one. This is the new version of the Spot headlamp. And as soon as I got this on a lark, I checked this thing out, and yeah, oh no, see, it's doing that. It's doing it. It was working. Now it's doing its weird cycle thing. That's not me. Yeah, so no go on this guy. I mean, it's kind of cool that it does that, but it shouldn't do that. And now I can't turn it off. Okay, so about $100 in gear that I replaced. One, which I should not be working, is working just fine. The other, doing weird things, should not do that. That's my story. I hope you found the IP stuff interesting. I find that stuff really fascinating, and that's a good piece of information to have in the back of your head when you're thinking about IP ratings and the gear you're choosing and what you're buying. If you had fun with this like I did, except for the $100 that it cost me, hit like, hit subscribe. My books are available on Amazon. If you want to buy me a cup of coffee, you can do that on Coffee. There's a link down below. Otherwise, have a great day. I'll see you on the water.